Put on the call.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, last thing before we get started. I am absolutely loving watching these guards right now. Like, I'm not joking. Like,
the Guardians.
Yeah.
Hell
like
yes, man. This is
like,
exactly the type of basketball team. Okay.
I don't know if they've taken on
Are we recording or not recording right now?
We're recording, but we're doing our pre-show bullshit, and then we're gonna jump in.
This guy Bimbo Coles, man, he knows his shit because they are exactly what he. I appreciate that he's pretty guarded about, and that's not a play on words. He's pretty guarded about, like, he's not like super nut hugger guy. He's pretty I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He nailed it, who these guys are, man. I know he loves that Gabe Arias. I don't know what his whole deal is with him, but he looks good.
He looks great. The whole collective feels like that Major League the movie. Remember when they flipped the switch? Because it's like
but they did it at the beginning of the season.
It feels like a bunch of castaways and people who, like, even if Jose Ramirez went somewhere else, he wouldn't be appreciated the way he is here. So he's like that Willie Mays. Hey, like, there's a bunch of guys mixed in.
He did it upright by staying. Yeah. He really did. So I think I can actually keep this up here now because I replaced the piece. Let's see if I'm.
Dude, I'm loving watching them. Like,
Me too.
I've skipped out on a couple play-in things to watch their series with Boston because that's how locked in I am.
Oh, I always watch the guards. I do almost every game.
Right.
And if I can't, I'll even game cast them. But yeah, no, I love this team. I'm super impressed by Vote. I don't know if you say Vote or Void or
Vote. Yeah,
I think it's Vote. I'm super impressed with how deep he goes into this team. Very flexible.
I did a deep dive on him as a person and his whole, like, at the end of his playing days. He's just a good dude that you want to.
He is a good dude.
You want to have a beer with him and just talk baseball. So, all right, let's goddamn do it.
Let's do it.
It's basketball time at the
Rubber Rim Job, Season 3, Episode 14. I almost teared up because I haven't said that in a while, Jig.
I know. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back with my brother, man. We like this. Like, I don't mind doing a hug right here because I'm like, man, I miss my brother.
Big hug, baby.
We in this thing. I haven't seen this guy in a long time, you guys, because like life has been lifing, crazy business adjustments and all that kind of stuff, family stuff. While at the same time, the Wine and Gold good guys, they just ended their campaign. They just closed out this season on a weird note. So we're gonna get into that in just a second. How you been, Jig?
I've been good. I've been running around a lot. You know how it is, man. I'm 40, so it's work, kids, b-ball, Guardians now. Yeah. In no particular order.
Mixing a beer or two here and there.
What's that?
Mixing a beer or two here and there.
That's right. You know what I'm doing at the actually next week now? I'm going to be doing an orienteering race.
Orienteering?
Yeah, they give you a map and you go for 6 hours finding as many checkpoints all through like a big state forest as you can. Like, they're all off the trail and all that kind of stuff. First one of these I've ever done.
Has a beer. Is that the thing?
God, for over 6 hours, I'd hope not.
Okay, because here in Nashville, there's a thing called Beer Race where they do that, and you don't really run. I want to say it's like a 5K that you just have to walk it.
5K, okay, 5K would be reasonable. 6 hours, man, people will be dying.
I think they like have a certain there's an IPA 5K.
Yeah,
there's, like different types of brews because there's hundreds of microbreweries here.
There are, man. That's one of the best places in the world.
So one of my employees, she did it a while ago, and she was like, "We got to do this," and I was like, "No, thank you." Just the thought that I'm gonna be stopping a bunch of times, consuming beer, and then it gets humid here. It's humid right now.
It would get nasty out there. Really quick. Here we would be. I tell you, man, I can never get this thing right.
God damn it!
Right?
That's how we know that we're here, though. Like, you made it through the whole season.
It's got to be one of the things, right?
Limp stand. It's one of our things.
Let me see if I can organize. Yeah, no, I'm super excited about that. That's going to be like that's like I like being out in the woods in nature. One of
That's
my
pretty
favorite
awesome.
things.
Yeah.
But and that 5K does sound super. That would be fun. Like that would definitely be up my alley. But like
Yep.
I've been looking forward to this for a while. I
Yeah,
did
those are called, without a doubt, those are called beer race. What was your thing called?
orienteering, because there's
Orient.
adventure races which are a thing, and I
Okay.
want to do that. Those are like 6 to 12 hours of like you do like kayaking, uh hiking, and orienteering, but I want to try this first.
Okay.
Make sure I'm cut out for it.
Last year at this time, I kayaked from Gallatin, which is like way like you almost like 45 minutes away from downtown Nashville,
Okay.
right into the heart of downtown Nashville on the Cumberland River.
Yeah.
And so there was a moment where it took about 2.5 hours
Yeah.
kayaking. Like,
That's
dude,
good.
I came out of that, I was
Dude,
like,
that's work.
I felt like I was like, I'll knock somebody the hell out right
Yeah, you gotta have some forearms
now.
and back.
And as you came around that last bend and you saw the entire downtown skyline as
That'd
the
be
sun was
beautiful,
setting, it
man.
was so dope. So
Yeah.
So kayaking is something I may go do that again this season right here, just to achieve, feel like I'm pushing myself a little bit.
Yeah, that's a fun experience. Yeah, because like you can only like lift weights and run so many times, right? Like you got to mix it up, get outdoors.
I felt like I was Klay Thompson. He does a bunch of weird stuff to get to the games.
I
and
didn't
stuff.
know that.
He's got his own boat, and well, he's got time to do it now because their season is through. But he's got his own boat, but he also kayaks and he also paddle boats to the games whenever they have home games because he can.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So check
I
him
can
out.
respect that. If I was a Golden State fan, I would really like that about him. I'm sure.
And the Giants fans, they do that McCovey Cove thing where they're
Right.
all out there trying to go get the home run ball.
Oh, I remember when everybody was running around for Bonds' home runs, they would
Bonds.
get out there to be diving around in their kayaks and all that stuff.
Yep. So it's a pretty good time, everybody. Spring is here. We are officially in spring.
Sprung.
You got, spring has sprung. You got baseball kicking off majorly. Right before the show started, we were showing some love to our guards. And then you got the Wine and Go Good guys starting for these playoffs. So we're about to get to that. What are you listening to? I'm going to start off with my record recommendation.
You go. Yeah, I want you to go
that?
first. I got something in mind, but I want to hear yours.
So I'm gonna give a 2-for-1 because there's a precursor to this. So I'm sitting down a couple days ago. I had just flown back and I was like, man, I just want to take a day where I don't do shit and I don't answer my phone and I just kind of recover. And I finally started this series on Amazon Prime Video. It's called Daisy Jones and the Six.
Okay. I've seen it. I remember seeing it. I forgot
like 8 to 10 episodes. It's like a rock doc kind of thing, but it's a reenactment and there's a book called Davy Jones and the Six, and it's totally inspired by Fleetwood Mac. Okay. One of my favorite bands of all time. I got Rumors out there on vinyl. And I loved it a couple of years ago when that viral video, when the dude was doing the what's the name of the song on there?
When he was longboarding?
Yeah, he was longboarding.
Cranberry juice or whatever.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Very memorable.
He got a bunch of contracts and stuff from that.
He did.
Endorsements. I love that. And that album, Rumors, is widely considered one of the best rock albums of all time.
100%. There's
a story behind it. So Stevie Nicks and I always butcher
Lindsey Buckingham,
they were going through it, and the other two members that were dating at the time, they were going through it. And this show perfectly captures that with this fictional band from Pittsburgh, because it's like reverse. Instead of it being, because Fleetwood Mac were actually from across the pond, and they interjected a couple of Americans, and then they hit their stride with this album, and it was like brilliance.
Okay.
In this TV show, they're all from Pittsburgh, and then half of the band backs out for whatever reason. One goes to be a dentist. I don't want to tell the story. And they interject these British people when they get to California, and it takes off. And the whole TV show is about those relationships, inspiring songs, the way it did for Go Your Own Way and Dreams and Don't Stop and all that kind of stuff. So my record recommendation is a 2-for-1. Daisy Jones and the Six, please watch it. And then immerse yourself in Fleetwood Mac Rumors. You're familiar with the album. You're familiar with
Oh,
them. You just helped me out just now.
let's dig into them a little bit. I can definitely dig into Fleetwood Mac.
Give me
Huge
some backdrop and bio on them. Why you
Huge
love
fan. I'm a huge Fleetwood Mac fan. They're one of the bands that I got into classic rock big time when I was a kid. So it would have been starting when I was like 5, because that's what my parents listened to.
Absolutely.
My mom went to concerts of like some of the greatest bands of all time, right? When she was young. So like she went to them a couple times. I remember she talked about she went to Rolling Stones, Allman Band. She's talking about Marshall Tucker.
Dude, they hit the jackpot. They didn't even know it.
Oh man, yeah, no, who else did she do? Like the whole list, except I remember Led Zeppelin and the Doors would have been off the list because they were like not that it wasn't the right time period. But I mean, she hit everybody. So that's like who I soaked up when I was a little kid, right? So because she always had them playing. Anyways,
dude, real quickly, just for your mother's sake.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Because their childhood and stuff, they just heard that Woodstock was what it was, right?
That's
and
right.
So there was a whole decade after Woodstock where if you had $5 in your pocket, you could get in to see the greatest bands of all time.
Right?
Like
Isn't that crazy?
If you just made it in the room, you would see the greatest bands of all time. And if you could wiggle your way up to the stage, you're literally like holding hands with what's the name? Anybody that's like hits greatest of all time rock and roll Hall of Famers.
So, like the dates my mom went on would have been to like Fleetwood Mac.
That's awesome.
And you figure all these type of guys like Rolling Stones and all that. So I remember discovering this album when I was in 8th grade. Actually, I remember hearing it for the first time. I can picture it. That's one of the cool things about music is it kind of like puts you back in time, and I can feel the moment. Like I can picture where I was when I discovered that album. And my favorite song off of it is definitely Gold Dust Woman.
Okay.
I can hear it. I can feel that beat coming in and that guitar. I mean, it's just like nothing quite feels like that song to me. And her kind of like dusky voice, like coming in. But that is not my favorite song by them. My favorite song by them is definitely Tusk. Okay. When they would get that song going with the USC marching band.
I want to say Tusk was off the next album. It was actually, was the next album called Tusk? I think it was called Tusk.
You might know more than me on that one. I couldn't tell you which album that one's off of. I remember discovering that one off of their live when they performed it live.
Yeah, I think Tusk was the next album right after this one, maybe a couple years later, and it was like the end of it. It was.
I love Tusk. Album. I love Tusk because I like super drum heavy stuff, and I love Lindsey Buckingham, those like super animalistic screams.
Right.
I like this stuff that's really. I love her. Don't get me wrong, and she was gorgeous when she was young.
Here's the thing that you know about her.
Yeah,
she would have had you on the side of the road, like cracked out, like like certain women. You like, oh man, I wouldn't touch that, like because there's no telling, like she would she definitely just. I haven't heard her whole story. I've just some of the things I consumed. And, like rest in heaven to her. She just went home like a couple of months ago, I think.
She did.
She just passed, bro.
I did not know that. Oh my god, I did not know that.
I'm not even using my Googles over here, so let me not kill her before
check. I did not hear about that.
Holy crap. I'm pretty sure Stevie Nicks just passed
away. While you're checking on that, I'll go on and say 100% agree. She like nobody quite had that vibe, and like you got a lot of people that try to imitate that.
Holy crap, she did not. I'm sorry.
She did not. Okay, I was gonna say I feel like I'd have heard about
who just died. Like who? Big time
woman, like a big time woman. Shit, I don't know. Like that time period.
Dude, I was watching this whole thing thinking she just died.
I mean, a lot of people from that time period.
Holy crap. Allman Brothers Band co-founder Dickie Betts dead at 80. 1 hour ago.
Dickie Betts just died?
1 hour ago. Man,
we were just listening to some I thought about making one of their big live albums mine, but I'm not going to.
All right, so I just totally changed the whole tenor of this thing by killing people off.
We're still alive. We're still gonna roll because she's still around. It turns out she came back from the dead, which is very good for a witchy woman like her.
Well, she can still put her tentacles on you and change your life.
She still got us.
So go ahead. That's what I want to say.
So that was my favorite. The chain's awesome. Got a similar feel to Gold Dust Woman, but Tusk is definitely mine. I love the super heavy animalistic Lindsey Buckingham stuff. And then Never Going Back Again is number 2 for me.
Okay.
Saw him in concert in I don't know what it was. Maybe 10, 12 years ago in Pittsburgh. They were great.
That was pretty awesome.
They were super fun.
You got to see him in concert. That's pretty awesome.
So that's my take on them. That's a great album. Awesome pick.
From beginning to end, that whole album is just really, really
awesome. Good. You listen to it all the way through. There's nothing you want to skip.
So, okay. So, go check out Fleetwood Mac Rumors.
Definitely.
And go check out Daisy Jones and the Six on Amazon. It's totally worth it. It gives you that Almost Famous kind of rock doc feel, but it's a whole series.
Okay. I'd love to check it out.
It makes you just want to be like, man, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall on that tour bus.
Oh, man.
A lot of really, really dope things happening and stuff.
Big time.
All right. So, in that time that we were taking care of life and learning new records and all that kind of stuff, the reason why we're even on this podcast, our good guys, our Wine and Go good guys. At the end of the season there, Jig, in those last few games, something clicked where I was like, okay, wait, it looks like Donovan's healthy again. Well, there's a lot of stuff that happened. First, there was like that last 4 to 5 games, that road trip, Lakers, Clippers, Suns, all of that, where we could have gone anywhere from 2 to the play-in, and there was some disappointment. I think we went. What did we go like? 2-4, 1-5.
It was something like that because they gave up. Yeah, they lost to the Lakers. They gave up that big lead to the Clips.
Lost to the Suns.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was something like that. 2-4.
And then that last game, which became, everybody across the country was talking about it for a little bit of time. Did you get any of that? Did you hear any of that noise and stuff?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the way? Because it was very.
I was laughing my ass off at that game. I was that was
master class of how to throw a game.
That was a live time discussion type of deal. I mean, look, this season's been weird, man, because like at the beginning of the season, it was like it's a lot of excitement. Then you get to the middle of the season, and it's like I think we were all, let's be real, we felt like keeping the head coach around was not a great idea, right? Because there was the worry. Then we had that whole stretch where, predictably, once he didn't have to juggle our stars,
we looked great.
We looked great, but like better than expected.
Right.
And then he continued to do well with just one star. And then as soon as Garland came back, he couldn't manage it.
Here's the thing, and I say this to Sebastian all the time. It's not just Garland, it's also Mobley. So the moment he has to manage any overlap, he like goes to shit. And
he can't drive the Lamborghini.
I don't understand it.
He can't drive the Lamborghini. He can't shift all the gears and put the thing at 232, right? Yeah. He can't drive it at full speed. So we get that. We knew that was going on, and everybody's struggling. He was facing a lot, to be fair.
I love that analogy, by the way.
Thank you. But then we get up towards the end of the season here, and man, everything's just completely, all the pieces are falling off the car. Tranny's out, the leather's ripping, birds are crapping on the car, and then he's just running that thing back into the house, right? And the parents are home.
Just trivial shit. Like we just pulling in, we hit the mailbox and it like scrapes the entire side.
Right.
Like, we did not have to do that to ourselves. So,
and we're leaping through the window, and we know we're going to get yelled at. But here's the thing: all that leads up to the final game. So like a lot of us are sitting there when there's that risk of like we could end up from the 2 seed to the all the way to 8. So it's one of those rare occurrences where like you got some fans that are sitting here and they're like pulling the whole, oh, you've never played on a team before if you have. Or competed at any level if you would want to lose a game. And then you have the other fans who are doing the whole like, listen, man,
we just don't want to play the Sixers because we've been watching what's been going on over the last few games and we want to see them win a playoff series. Then there's also that other element of like, well, we also want the coach fired. So if they do too well, so you got a lot of competing ideas juggling around. All of that culminates in a final game where we're scoreboard watching us beating the hell out of the Hornets while the Knicks are at the same time playing the Bulls.
Right.
And we also had I can't remember who else was playing their game at the same time. And we're sitting here and we're watching, and there's this risk that if we win the game, we're going to end up with the Sixers. But, what's his name is playing his team just into the ground. He runs that team into the ground in order to win that game, which seemed meaningless.
Right.
And in the last minutes, you can just see it. Somebody made a call into JBB.
They're like, let Tristan Thompson run point guard. I was like, what is
happening? Those stretches
so
of the season are all flashing through his head.
Here's the thing that just doesn't. So I was a strong advocate for weeks saying matchups matter. We need to take in consideration who that matchup is going to be.
I was saying the same.
But Jig, I did not know they were going to be that egregious with the way that they tried to. Egregious. I mean, today, I think after the game ended, I took a shower. It was middle of the day. And then that evening, after I watched the way everything played out, I had to take another shower. And I still feel like, oh man, I can't believe I just saw that. Like
Tristan running point was the ultimate. That was the ultimate part of the game.
The way that they did that
man
last
run tank with us.
Honestly, the way that they did that last 5 to 10 minutes or whatever it was, 5 minutes, that's egregious enough to be like, we got to get new leadership. Like, and I don't want to. I'm so
Kobe. All the way up to Kobe.
So let me say this thing and then we're gonna have fun. Under any circumstances, if they fall flat in this Orlando series,
oh man,
they're like Jig. Oh yeah, they got some dogs now.
They do. Oh, they definitely do.
They got the right type of vets. The Joe Ingles, the Willie Cauley-Stein there's some things there that I don't like the look of. In the same way that I did not like the look of the Knicks series.
Well, go on, elaborate, please.
There's a perfect mix there. Most people would say that JBB and Jamal Mosley are a wash, but I've watched Jamal Mosley. He actually is improving at the job. He has a full pulse on his collective. So he started off the year and he knew he needed to get people like Anthony Black caught up to speed. And he actually laid out a plan where he did it. So there's a part of me that's like, I don't know, because the Magic can genuinely go 10 deep. Mm-hmm. He can genuinely play the game a different way, muck it up. And all it will take, because already the top 4 guys, their trust in JBB is on life support.
It seems it.
All it would take is a split of the first 2 games, and then for the Magic to look solid in the beginning of the 3rd game, and the wheels fall off. So I don't want to project that. I'm just saying, if something like that happened in this first round series, and I'm praying that it doesn't, because my Cavalier heart cannot take back-to-back years of that. The way that Charlotte game ended, you have to consider top leadership change.
So you thought that was so bad that. Tell me about it. Go on. I want to hear all about it.
I feel like you can be a little bit more strategic about it. For us to still be, oh my God, they're still in it. That's because Charlotte was trying to lose the game. Charlotte was like, no, like Steve Clifford is retiring. We don't want this game. We want a top draft pick. We want the kid from France. You have the game. You take it. And we're like, no, you guys take it. And they're like, no, you take it. And then at the very end, they're like, okay, we can't outdo Tristan Thompson on a point. If you guys are going to be that obvious about it, we'll take the game. And that's what happened. Like, we got beat by like 10
points, 11 points. There was 20. I think there was like a 21 point shift in the 4th quarter.
Dude, the guys that were out there for Charlotte, it was so obvious that Charlotte was like, we want a better lottery ball,
Charlotte was running a worse lineup out there than Memphis was.
They were trying their hardest. Oh man, you just pissed me off thinking about that Memphis game where freaking Jake LaRavia turned into.
I'd never even heard of Jake LaRavia.
So anyway, okay.
That name. I want to say two things, and then we can get to the good stuff.
Jake LaRavia is Larry Bird whenever they're playing against our defense. But go ahead.
I got two things. First of all, I swear sometimes you can hear a guy's name and say that this man cannot be an elite professional basketball player. The name Jake LaRavia is not the name of an elite professional basketball player. You cannot see that name.
No,
you cannot picture that name on marquee lights, and that guy is an elite professional basketball player. Michael Jordan.
That's a basketball player.
That's an elite basketball player's name.
Jake LaRavia.
Jake LaRavia. That cannot. It can't be. I'm not saying like every elite basketball.
Jake LaRavia almost beat your basketball team. You can't. That was that kid that played for. Remember, you may not remember this in the NCAA tournament. The first round had an upset where this kid that looks like an insurance salesman right now for Oakland, and I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I remember that kid.
He was like 6'2", and he like hit 10 threes. He was all over. Was it Kentucky? He was just he was just disrespecting Kentucky.
Yeah,
and it was like, who let this insurance salesman? What's happening? He got Calipari fired. Like Calipari had to leave and go to Arkansas because this insurance salesman was not being guarded. That's what I felt watching Jake LaRavia go off.
Jake LaRavia, I'm sorry. That name, he needs to be in the movie Rad, like that 1990 skateboard movie, Jake LaRavia, or like some video game, like fighting video game.
He sounds like a bad guy for the next Karate Kid movie. Like
he's not an elite
and the Birds are going to be there. Like he sounds like a greaser or a Soch, like the Outsiders. And he was out here balling. I mean, giving us buckets because everybody knows what to do with this defense. Now, granted, Orlando doesn't have that. They genuinely don't have a Jake LaRavia kind of shooter. Okay, and I say that. And then Caleb Houston's going to go off in one of these games. Somebody like Joe Ingles will hit 6 threes because from the very beginning of the series, he's going to be talking shit to Donovan because they're like brothers, right? And George Niang, he's been through the wars with the two of those guys. So just please, Kobe, for the sake of everything, JBB, get us through this. Do not let.
You can't lose this series, man. You just can't. Okay. You cannot lose this series. That's all. You can't.
Heads have to roll if they lose this series, and I'm not even joking. So,
oh yeah. Both of them have to be fired if they lose to the Magic. Just right, it's just they both have to be fired. Like there's just a no. After
there's two guys on the board who their blood is boiling right now. Can you guess which two?
Tell me. I mean, lot, but tell me.
Two for the Brew, of course.
Yeah.
And Brew, when you hear this, please know I'm not projecting and I'm not manifesting that we want. I do not want to lose to Orlando. I'm just saying what has to happen if we do. And then the second guy is Mirror Rich. Like right now, Mirror Rich, he's on board with we probably need to upgrade coaching and stuff. But there's somewhere he's listening to this and he's like, man, these dudes are not wearing the wine and gold right now with the way that they're talking.
No.
So
look, I want to see this team. I want to watch. Look, as a Cleveland sports supporter,
right?
My top priority is always to be entertained,
right?
Which leaves me always open to being called a front runner.
Okay.
I acknowledge that. I accept that because that's my number one priority.
Yeah, like you'll watch other people. Like I can't remember who you were saying a couple weeks ago, and I was like, ugh, you were somebody
college level or NBA?
No,
level?
In the pros, you were like, I like watching him, and I was like, oh,
was it
SGA.
when I was like talking about Durant?
I think it was SGA. You know,
definitely, yeah. Like I will talk about people who like will shit on Cleveland.
Yeah,
if I like their game. Now, I'm not saying like I go out like every week. I'm just saying
You're not gonna go get an SGA jersey and come on Rubber Rim Job with a.
Well, I just I'll put I have to the SGA jersey that I have, like I keep it in it's in the closet. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like. Luke asked for a LeBron jersey, by the way. How do you feel about that?
On this, let's do this. A LeBron Lakers jersey?
No, Cavs jersey. He really wanted a Cavs jersey. How do you feel about that?
I'm down with that.
You down with that?
Yeah. He's back there on my thing, and that's the only LeBron memorabilia I have.
Yeah.
That bobblehead, but that's because it's directly tied to our championship. And I've started forgiving him. It's taken a couple of years, but I've started forgiving him from a standpoint of I can't believe that we experienced that, and I'm starting, nostalgically to look back on some of the things from his rookie year, and just being grateful that we ever even had that kid.
I'm with it.
I'm there. So
he specifically wanted the blue. Do you remember that blue jersey? The royal blue jersey with the red, white, and blue trim.
Yeah.
It was our best jersey, I think. Okay. He saw that and he wanted it, and he asked for it for Christmas.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
He loves it. But then
that's a forever jersey, so it's not like you can't wear it once he retires. Like everybody's still wearing Jordan and Kobe jerseys.
So he got that, and then immediately afterwards, he switched his favorite team and player to Giannis.
Okay.
And the Bucks, and then I was just like, obviously he still loves he watches the Cavs with me, but then I was just like, you know what, this is probably better.
It was after he saw him in person, he was like, holy crap, like I can't believe this guy is doing
He just loves Giannis. Like he got the Giannis shoes, and he still likes watching the Cavs with me and everything, but that's just like that suddenly became his guy. And then now he loves Michael Jordan. Like he likes watching.
You gotta play that stuff. There's an Amazon documentary. Have you seen that for Giannis?
No, I didn't know there was one.
And it chronicles his whole upbringing and the way that they were evicted a couple times in Greece, his parents. It's a beautiful, beautiful documentary. I came away with
a good ass dude.
Heavier respect for him after that.
Big time. Everything I've seen about him, I love him.
So let's do this real quick before we get back into this, because we got to change the channel and we don't want to have any doom and gloom. So me personally, but also the Rubber Rim Job had a couple of gifts that came in from our listeners, right? And so the first one I want to shout out is Juice is Loose. Are you familiar with Juice is Loose on the board?
Oh yeah, of course.
Really awesome dude, season ticket holder. Been in the inbox, just kind of going back and forth, talking like how much he loves what we're doing here and keep doing it kind of thing, but also just, like showing some love. And he reached out and he said, hey, can I have an address where I can? And I was like, absolutely. I appreciate that. Like we literally gone back and forth. I want to say last season, he reached out about a Nas music recommendation and was like, yo, really appreciated that. I needed to jump into it. So we've kind of built from there. So this guy, I didn't check my mail for like a couple of days. And literally, if he sent it on like Wednesday, it was here like the next day. I was like, holy crap. Like the thing showed that it was like 2 days later or whatever. Go and open this package. And I'm telling you, Juice is Loose has no idea what this means to me. Because when I first started going to Richfield Coliseum, this is the jerseys they were.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so he sends me this Mitchell and Ness.
I was going to say, that's a Mitchell and Ness, yeah.
Chucky Brown. 87-88.
Wow.
86-87 Richfield Coliseum.
Wow.
Yep.
That is super cool.
So shout out to Juice.
Thanks, Juice.
So like legitimately, I didn't have any Richfield Coliseum garb outside of the more modern stuff that's like supposed to be. And so this thing is getting framed sort of similar to this right here. And I'm going to put it right here on the wall.
What a cool gift. Thanks, Juice.
So thank you, Juice. And I got one more. And this is just, like when you like consistent in building and stuff. And if you need, because you got space back there, man, we got to put something on your wall back there. So longtime friend of the pod, Ron G, down in Houston, Texas.
Uh-huh.
Ron is awesome. He's a business owner like me, and I met his family. They're really awesome. Like he's just stepping into potentially being a grandpa here soon. So shout out to Ron and congratulations, man. But from the parade in 2016, everybody got shirts and stuff. They were all out there super strong. And I believe these shirts were actually given out at one of the games. but he was like, everybody was wearing it at the parade. So this is technically, when I look at it, I'm like, this is a parade shirt. And so it's the 20,562 all in.
That's awesome.
It's from that. And so I believe he said he either had it with him for the parade when he was out there after the championship. This is getting framed too. So Ron G, shout out. And this actually came when the liquor came, but I was saving it for an episode when we can just kind of give him a shout out.
Very cool.
Show some love. Because let me tell you what, Jig, like this thing has opened up this platform and just, kind of similar to the way RCF did when I first joined it, Real Cavs fans. You just feel like the world is just like a smaller place,
Definitely
like it's just a neighborhood when you're really connecting with people that's like passionate about the same shit. And it's just dope, like when, people reach out and like, hey, keep that podcast going. Like you and Jig keep jumping in there because, that's my thing of choice when I'm driving or when I, sit out in the garage or whatever.
It has been awesome hearing from everybody. And RCF has definitely opened up a lot of opportunities.
Man,
for me. It's been awesome.
Really, really awesome.
Made a lot of friends off the board.
Shout out to the people keeping that thing going. Shout out to Ben first and foremost, but then also shout out to Sebastian and the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to this or you come across it and you're not a member of realcavsfan.com, get up there because I got lifelong friends now.
That's
that are
super
sending
cool.
me super, super cool. Lifelong friends that are sending me stuff that I've never met Juices Loose in person, but he's like, it feels like we have. And I like consider him my brother now. So that's awesome. Thank you guys. So what's your Orlando series? Give me what you think might happen, but also give me what you're most worried about. We got to make sure we counter here.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea what's going to happen in this series.
Bushwick is going to be proud of you. Bushwick he tries to keep it clear. So he's like,
oh, he's like become such a, he refuses to allow
negative
any
thoughts
of us to get like down on the Cavs, which I appreciate.
I appreciate that.
He's very pro Cavs. He refuses to allow anybody to go down the negativity rabbit hole. I am most afraid of JBB running into the same thing that he did last year, which is being proactive and using his offensive weapons appropriately. Right. I'm afraid that what he's going to do is he's going to go back and think about what he did wrong last year, and he's going to do that in this series this year instead of adjusting to Orlando.
What's really in front of you. Yes.
Exactly. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that he's going to have like PTSD, like playoff PTSD.
Which happened with Mike Brown.
Correct.
After that Orlando series, he tried to approach the next whole season.
We spent a whole off season adjusting to it. That's exactly right.
Ferry was like, let me go get 40-year-old Shaq. He'll put Dwight Howard in his place.
Dwight Howard.
We didn't even see Dwight Howard.
That's
but
correct.
Mike Brown also had the mindset of we need to coach like we're making adjustments for what Stan did. And we got Boston de-pantsed us.
You need to bend back. They need, what the really good coaches do is they bend basketball to their will, right?
Right. I agree. 100%.
That's what they've done. And the really great basketball players have done the same thing. They've innovated. They've gotten the team together, and they've made defenses adjust to them.
Right.
As a successful youth basketball coach, I've taught my team to do the same thing.
I love the way you just Al Bundy'd that. Like, you got to look off in the sky, like while you're saying that. As a Hall of Famer of the General Electric fridge nets.
as three games above 500, I have altogether over the last 4 years. I'm a little bit better than that.
Your collective is not 587. Your collective win percentage is not 587, and you're like,
I don't know what it is, but it's I've had a lot to deal with. Okay. Playoffs.
None of your kids are getting arrested or kicked out of the league for gambling, so you're doing something right here.
They don't know how to gamble yet, but they will soon, and we'll see what happens. I am a Jonte Porter supporter, as you see. No, in all seriousness, that's what the great coaches have done, right? I mean, we know that. I mean, that's proven. That's what makes them great. But even just as a good coach, I just need to see him make Orlando adjust to him.
Take the lead on this. Like, don't approach it with a defensive assistant mindset.
Correct.
How can I counter? Approach it like we are the more talented team who through the last game in order to face you guys. We know that we're actually the second best team in the East. Jeez Louise. And Jamal Mosley was on NBA radio yesterday in the morning. And they kept trying to like prod him, like, are you telling your guys that
on the bulletin board? He's
being so coy. Like,
of course he is.
I'm not going to talk about it.
You don't want to say it's on the bulletin board, but it's on the bulletin board.
The fact that he's not leading with that scares me because I feel like
Mosley isn't.
Yeah,
smart.
It's smart, man. It's like it's a supreme card player, and our coach can't play cards. Like he's sitting there. He's there. He sits at the table.
He just yells.
He puts every spade right here and every.
You hear
joker.
Donovan yell, "Stop bitching!" during that one game. I wonder who he was talking to. Was he talking to the players or was he talking to JBB?
They said that he was not Max Strus. They said he was talking to somebody who was on the floor, but I swear I've seen Donovan because there was that game against the Clippers. JBB's like over there going like this, like speed it up, like just pick up the pace, which he was right about.
Of course.
But then Donovan walks over to him with the ball and he goes like this, like chill, like, and I was like, ugh.
Oh, like, did JBB?
Yeah. Like you're starting to see it on the floor where Donovan truly feels like he's the coach of the team. And
he does.
I just don't want there to be a point in this series where that rears its head, because then the Magic have the type of org and a type of coach that's like, we got him, kind of thing.
Well, the concern is obviously that the biggest adjustment that they're going to make is switching Okoro onto the hot guy.
Yeah, and I saw those stats where they were showing like what Okoro can do against Banchero. But I can't stress enough that it doesn't have, like, the playoffs are a different beast.
They are a different beast.
So for all intents and purposes, the way Okoro defends is made for the playoffs because they allow him to be more physical. They allow him to, I saw it in the first couple. Have you watched these play-in games? I know we were watching the Guardians.
I have watched a little bit of the play-in games.
Like yesterday, Chicago just beat up Atlanta. Like Ayo Dosunmu,
which can be done.
Took Trey Young's cookies quite a few times.
Trey Young. I cannot stand it. Least favorite NBA basketball player. Go on.
Caruso was actually in the middle of exerting his will on the Hawks, and Andre Drummond friendly fired and took him out the game. Did you see that?
No.
Such a big oaf.
I saw him almost take the guy out on the. He is an oaf. That's one of my favorite words. Good job. He did that play off the alley, the self alley-oop.
Donovan's head.
Yeah.
He did the same thing, but go ahead. Yeah, I saw that.
Off the self alley-oop. He is the new JaVale McGee. He is such an oh shit. I will be right back. I will be back in 1 minute.
Okay, good.
I have 1 minute.
Yep.
I gotta go let somebody in.
So rubber rim job, guys. If you have a chance and you haven't seen the highlights from yesterday's game, please go in and find Andre Drummond runs over Alex Caruso, because in the middle of the game, as Caruso is starting to lock in and really defend the way that we know guys like him, Okoro, all those guys can do, they got to stop on one end. And Drummond comes running back up the court, but he's like looking at the crowd or something. And Caruso is looking at his guy who he's supposed to be defending. And Drummond legitimately, not only did he step on his ankle, but as he stepped on his foot and his ankle, he also like bulldozed him over. So like he's got his foot planted. Drummond plants his foot further, and then he proceeds to detach him from his foot and his ankle. So we got to be so grateful that we don't have this guy running around off on our bench just hurting guys, because to see that in real time, they have a game coming up with Miami, and they really, really need Caruso for that game. And I'm not sure if he's like in real time. When I watched him get injured, I was like, man, he just tore up something in his ankle. So
who did?
A Drummond when he ran over Caruso yesterday. So if you get a chance, go watch that.
I love the word oaf. I just want to come back to that, because if I didn't know what an oaf was and you use the word, I'd still know what an oaf was. You
could see an oaf. Tristan is an oaf. Drummond is an oaf. There's a bunch of guys that are oafs that are running around the league. Tristan is one. Tristan and Drummond, their faces are like the
twins are oafs as well. Twins are big time oafs.
So we're gonna have some fun with this series, Jig.
You like the twins,
the Morris twins.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked the Morris twins, but I've always liked them from a standpoint of you knew that they were limited. They weren't like the greatest, but there was something competitive in them that made them feel like there's certain guys, dudes from Philly are like this. All right. So they're from Philly. And then all the guys who went to Villanova. So like DiVincenzo, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Cam Whitmore in Houston. They all, it seeps into their pores. They know that they're like 3-star or 4-star recruits, but you're not going to outdog them. And so that's what the Morris twins represent for me. Like,
so
did I like when Jokic like literally ran through one of them? Yes. He had that coming.
Ultimate oath, by the way.
Yeah.
Jokic
Jokic is the definition of an oath. Potapinko was an oath.
Z was the oath. Big time.
Historically, we've had some great oaths, man.
Like great oaths. Yeah,
one big guy who I don't think was an oath was Rick Smits. He was kind of like a ballerina. Like he had very great.
Moved efficiently.
He moved efficiently.
Yeah,
Detlef
I don't
Schrempf
picture an oath with him. Yeah, Greg Ostertag.
Greg Ostertag was an oath.
Oath.
Jim McIlvain was an oath.
Yeah.
And we're naming white dudes, but there's been some brothers.
Well, no, we started off with black dudes.
Okay.
You can, yeah, definitely. You could
name another oath from the Cavs. Dejana Diop was an oath.
Oath, big time oath. Big God, God, he was the worst.
Tim Geithner was an oath.
Who?
Was it Geithner?
Geithner.
Paul McKeskey was an oath.
Oh, McKeskey, just the name alone.
McKeskey, you have to be an oath.
Paul McKeskey, big time oath.
Yeah,
an oath generally, if you're just picking up and you haven't heard the word before, it's going to be a big, dopey, lurpy guy, minimal muscle tone in their arms.
Yep.
Who just not often in Z would be an exception here. Intelligence, there's going to be a little bit of an intelligence disconnect, or at least they look like there is. They're going to play dumb. They're going to make bad decisions out on the floor, or they're just going to look like they do.
My very
Jokic
first
is smart,
oath,
but he looks like he isn't.
Yeah. My very first oath was the movie. You remember the movie The Program about the college football?
Yeah.
That dude, that one linebacker, the one who was taking that stuff. And off in the 80s, Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes.
Those dudes were oaths.
They were oaths.
They were 100% oaths.
Definitely oaths.
So
Ostertag was my first oath. I looked at him and I
oath.
Saw him and I remember he did that thing with his like teeth.
Yeah.
And he was the oath. Like he was my archetypical oath.
We got an oath in this series. We've got Goga Batazde for Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
And this cat, I don't know if he's from Turkey, Romania, wherever he's from.
Yeah.
He's actually tried to rebuild his game so he can shoot threes and stuff now. And I can't stress enough, man. Like, I keep coming back to this, but when we play Isaiah Hartenstein, he's an oath. And he just had an interview where he said he was like black or something like that. And I was like, wait, what? Like it was
He is.
His family's mixed.
He's mixed race.
He doesn't look like it.
Well, he definitely doesn't look like it. Yeah, but he is. You know who else who grew up in
he said about Dante DiVincenzo, I'd be like, yes. Like I guess Dante DiVincenzo's got like a what's name to him? Hartenstein?
He is. He's like I think his dad. I think it's his dad that's black.
New York has been having a field day with this, because they were like, wait, what?
About him saying he was black? They didn't make a big deal out of it in Cleveland. Nobody makes a big deal out of anything in Cleveland.
That's because we're a melting pot and we don't give a shit.
I think that's right.
That's what I think.
Do you know who else? I can't remember what the deal is. I think she grew up in a black family. Is a girl from Connecticut.
Oh, you talking about
Paige
Beckers?
Beckers.
No, the one chick who just got drafted, and Sonia Curry is her godmother. I can't remember her name. She's super tall. I want to say she was at Stanford or something like that.
Who's that?
One of the players that just got drafted for the WNBA. She's 100% white, but she's like, she got some swag to her, and came to find out that she's like an honorary Curry member.
Oh, is that right?
I can't remember her name right now, but it's when we're all over the place. But look, man.
Not
Paige Beckers, but
isn't it her? Wait, hang on. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I remember seeing this. I thought that was her though.
So Sonya Curry still looks pretty good.
She does look good.
Sonya Curry is forever. Cameron Brink is who I'm talking about.
It was Cameron Brink. Yeah, that's who it was. She's cute too. Well, cute. Yeah. That's a weird way to describe a girl who's like 6'7" or something.
I climbed that mountain.
Oh yeah.
And I climbed the Cameron Brink mountain before. What's her name down at LSU? The girl we were talking about through text.
Angel Reese.
Yeah. Angel Reese. Yeah.
So, do you want to have an Angel Reese conversation, or are we going too far off the map?
No, we can touch base on this because this is actually the whole country is captivated by women's basketball, and it's a beautiful thing to see, man. Like, and I'm not joking when I say this.
I want to hear your opinion on this. Yeah,
my daughters are so inspired. They watch the entire tournament, and we're excited for the WNBA season to start. Like, I love the fact that it's pulling in girls like this, but it's also pulling in guys. Like, I think there was like 3 or 4 million people that watched this draft just now.
Is that right? I did not watch the draft. That's a good sign.
The Caitlin Clark phenomenon, of course, but she can't do it by herself. So if you're like, oh my God, this girl is so good, like Steph Curry, she's got to have the other people that come along with her, you know?
Definitely.
Like Steph Curry was, you know, Magic Johnson had Larry Bird, Michael Jordan had Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, all those guys. And so it's a beautiful time for this thing to take over and boom the way it is.
Yep.
And I love what it represents, that my girls see me like locked in for these games and stuff. Like I'm all about it. So am I watching it for all those? Like, no. So like some of these girls, like I like that girl from Detroit that she was kind of flashy at the draft, and I was like, hey, I like that.
I didn't watch the draft. Which girl was it?
Oh man, you make me, because I'm over here showing why I'm not really watching it, but
well, dude, that's what we do. We can't help it.
So here's the thing, though, Jig. Women have always done this. They watch football to like look at dudes' butts.
Of course, like we know they're not like. It can't help it.
So we're allowed.
Of course we're allowed. Of course,
it's great basketball at the same time that we're like, hold up, like this girl looks pretty good here.
I appreciate the basketball, but these girls, good-looking girls. Listen, go on. I got a take two. I got a narrative for you.
Rickea Jackson is her name.
Rickea Jackson.
And let me tell you what, Rickea is Rickea. She got drafted to the Sparks. So between Rickea Jackson and the girl I was just looking at, Sonya Curry's goddaughter, Cameron Brink, I'm gonna be watching me some Sparks basketball.
Cameron Brink's a good player too.
I wish they would bring back my first WNBA girlfriend, which was Tia Cooper.
Tia Cooper,
yeah, the little guard that used to play for the Sparks. She's like an Instagram model now because she looks like and I don't even think she got on the court while she was there. I just watched her Instagram because she was bad. So Tea Cooper. Yeah,
she's definitely a good looking girl.
She's got everything that Rich likes. So that is a big draw for me.
That's a good looking girl.
I wish she was back in the league, and I'm writing the Sparks right now. Like, I will buy season tickets for Brink, Rickea Jackson, and Tia Cooper. Just I'll be out there for every game if you bring back Tia Cooper. So
okay, I dig that.
We got that going for us.
I'm gonna give you my take. I want to give you my take on the whole thing.
What you got?
So I obviously had not paid attention to the WNBA my entire life, or women's basketball. I made fun of it.
Right.
I made fun of it. I think we all did, right? And then I heard about Caitlin from my baby boomer in-laws, who I would have never anticipated being into it. And then I noticed like the basketball was always on at their place during the regular season. I'm like, what the hell's going on over here?
Right.
They're like, you got to watch her. My father-in-law was like, you got to watch her. I turn it on and I'm like, Steph Curry.
Immediately. Like, yeah.
Immediately. Steph Curry.
Stone cold killer. Emotionless. Like, just whatever.
And then I saw the Kobe, which is the comparison you kept making in the face. It's in her face. You just see it. Kobe Bryant comparison. It's just,
I made that comparison, but remember in text, I told you she reminded me of the guy off of No Country for Old Men. Like, she's like a Anton. She's like a killer.
Just the craziness. But I saw Steph at first, but then I saw that, oh, she's been studying.
Yeah.
I was like, she's been putting in the work.
She knows her game.
She knows her game. Because she just go out there every game I watched, and then obviously we saw it in the tourney too. She just goes out there and kills. She's cold.
She's gonna be great,
cold blooded, and she's gonna be great. So that's where it started, right?
She's got some Larry Bird as a girl kind of thing.
Right, right. So then, because anything I'd watch, and even last year a little bit, like they'd been watching the tourney, so I had watched. I just didn't pay attention to her, right? Like I didn't see much of her. So like it was just kind of on my periphery, but I remembered it popped back into my mind that they had the whole like setup of her versus Angel Reese deal, and like I didn't really think about it.
Right.
And then I watched. I started picking up on Angel Reese a little bit more. Right. I love her.
I love her too.
I think she's great. You know, I'm always gonna go for the person who's like got the glitz and the glamour and the entertainment, not necessarily as much that it's not just that I like them, it's that I like everybody's reaction to them, and I like them. I like that she gets not everybody. I like that she gets some people into like a tizzy. And I like that her and Caitlyn thing isn't real. Like that's nonsense. I think they like each other, but I like that got some runway going. Mm-hmm. Plus Caitlyn on her own got some runway going and got some eyes on this to get things moving. And then people got eyes on it. And then it was like, oh shit, these girls are good. And then there's like Juju Watkins, and then you got Cameron Brink, and then people are paying attention.
Paige Beckers, like there's a pipeline now.
There's a pipeline and then I'm watching, everybody else is watching. It's like, oh, they don't play basketball the way that previous generation of girls played. They play basketball like guys do.
Right.
They play basketball. They're smooth. They play to entertain.
They're more fundamentally disciplined. Like they look like Euro basketball without the fluff that makes you hate some of what these modern the NBA stars are doing.
And they get in each other's face a little bit.
They don't like they compete. Yeah. And
I like that. And I like that people get mad about it too. I like the guys who were like on social media getting mad about Angel Reese for doing it.
Yeah.
And I like that there's a group of people who still get upset about it. That makes me happy. And I like that they do it. It makes me excited. She's got a little Charles
Barkley to her. Like,
do
you remember the way Barkley used to like?
Yes.
He'd just say things and then he'd be like, I don't care how you feel about that.
And that's my that's my favorite guy.
Absolutely. So
that's
I love it. I love it.
And I also think Juju Watkins is a cutie. I like Juju Watkins.
Juju Watkins is bad. Okay, so we're on board with WNBA, and I promise you, this summer I'm gonna be locked in. And I keep using my daughters as a shield. I'm gonna be watching it myself.
Of course.
I'm like, get out of my face. I'm watching the WNBA. So I'm down with that. I don't want this season to end any quicker. So let's.
I want it going.
What do we got to do to make sure that these? So there's people on the board are like, what do you mean? What do we got to do? Like, no, listen. Playoffs are a different beast. How can we JBB proof this thing, Jig? Like, what do we have to do here?
We need to hit first. We cannot go out there and be surprised by the Knicks, like with the Knicks, where they came out and punched us in the face. That's what happened last year. They went in there and they thought they were going to play this the Garland ball. They thought they were going to go out there and they were just going to whack threes from all over the place and they were going to be able to play this smooth, soft ball. It's not going to happen. Right. They're going to have to go out there. They're going to have to hit. they might have to throw Tristan out there early in the game.
They do.
They
When I'm
might
telling
have
you,
to throw Marcus Morris out there. Might
when
have
I'm
to be
telling
the
you,
second quarter.
like learn, like so his record, I think overall is 2-8 in the playoffs. I'm not mistaken. Dude,
Yes.
you have got to playoff basketball is all about setting the tone. It's all about guys believing that they're supposed to be doing what they're doing.
Yes.
Like that's how Stan Van Gundy got that upset over us with Orlando, because he convinced them before the series started that he was smarter than Mike Brown, and he was.
And he was
So
100%.
in this case right here, I'm telling you, from what I like listening to him on that interview, I was like, oh shit, Jamal Mosley feels like he's a better coach. And that worries me. Like,
Of course.
because
the players believe it.
Because the players definitely believe it. And so you go out there and you got the right mix of guys who believe that they're being put in the right position. And that's how you get people like effing Michael Petrus doing faces and doing all this kind of stuff and throwing gang signs, even though he's from France.
They have gangs out there.
I don't care.
The Greasers have a big establishment out there.
Dude, I am not afraid to. Oh, so actually Dame Dash from Rockefeller told a story about how he got jumped in France once.
Oh, yeah. No, pickpockets.
I got my ass whooped in France.
He
literally was like, no, don't think because they talk like that they will not mess you up. French dudes, they like, you might not think. That's because when World War II happened, as soon as the Axis powers knocked on their door, they gave up.
They did. So everybody, they have that association.
Like what? Like from that point on, everybody's been like, France is weak. And so like when the Olympics a couple years ago, when Michael Phelps and the swimmers, they had to go against that super team from France, they were like, we got this. And they beat them. I was like, yes, because everybody knows we whip France. But yeah, they don't have any French dudes on this team, so we should be okay. And yesterday, Nick Batum sent Miami home. Did you see that? 6 for 10 or something like that on 3.
He's still in the league, man.
Nick Batum is like 40 years old, but what he does, you like gotta respect it. He just keeps the ball moving and he hits open shots.
Good all around player.
Problem with that I have is that's what Joe Ingles is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Ingles is Nick Batum. He can run the point like turkey glue. He can keep the ball moving. He will hit open shots, and he knows just enough to get under guys' skin. And so my scariest guys.
You're starting to scare me.
Joe Ingles, Mo Wagner, and there was a third guy that I was like, oh man, I'm not looking
Anthony
forward.
Black, does he worry you?
Gary Harris from Denver.
Gary Harris been around a while, and the man can
Gary
shoot.
Harris has like 30 or 40 games of playoff experience. He's been to the Western Conference Finals. He did a bunch of runs with Denver, and he's just sneaky enough where he knows I'm not getting more contracts beyond,
He can
like
do the Petrus thing on you.
they all look like this contract right here. That Gary Harris is playing just to win. Like he's not like, oh,
he can do the Petrus thing on you.
So
light you up. He could just light you up for
who
like
was on
13.
that Orlando team in 2000? Anthony Johnson was a vet that was like kind of Gary Harris to me, where it was like, dude, you're not going nowhere, but all of a sudden he was out playing Mo Williams and everything like that, and I just whatever. So, in order to JB proof this thing, we got to set the tone. I agree with you 100%. There cannot be any overreactions to anything that Orlando does to make us adjust. Once we set that tone, make them play our way. Like we cannot throw out there if they go with Willie Cauley-Stein and like if they play 5 7-footers, we cannot adjust what we do to try to counter that. We've got to make them play our game. So it's gonna be fun Saturday. Let's get in there.
We can't have what was happening in that Knicks series too is there was these slow grinding starts a lot of the time too that the Knicks were super comfortable with and that the Cavs were clearly not comfortable with.
Tibbs was so happy with the game starting off and it'd be 4 minutes left in the first quarter and it was 10-8. He was like, yeah,
super grindy starts. And they can't do that. You cannot if we're seeing those super grindy starts like that, it's a bad sign.
Trouble. Yeah, because Orlando's gonna want to muck it up. They're doing point guard by committee, so they can't control tempo. We have to take control on the tempo, and we want to score. We want to run.
To avoid that, it's the same thing that has always been the case. in the NBA, and it's an easy answer, and it's do not go ISO mode. So
Right.
if Donovan is waving off JBB, telling him to push the ball down the floor and move it, then he is wrong.
He's wrong.
He is wrong.
And I'll be the first person to hop on here post game. And by the way, Sebastian's asking us, like, can we hop on and do post games? So I'll be the first person to hop on here post game and say JBB's asking him to do the right thing. If that's what happens. So if we try to grind it into a one-on-one game, whether it's Donovan or Darius, I don't care who it is. I don't care if Evan Mobley is like, nah. Like, no. It needs to be free-flowing, the ball moving,
100%.
all of that. And it needs to be paced up. It has to be paced up.
It has to be. And that's when we talked about bending the opponent to your will. That would be that. The Cavs have so many shooters. They have so many shooters, and even their main guys can shoot. Garland can shoot. Donovan can shoot. They got a ton of shooters. Even Mobley can shoot. There's no reason not to stretch him out and let him take a couple shots.
I want to say there's been like 10 straight games with him hitting at least one three-pointer.
And I want to see him take them.
Yeah, multiple games with multiple three-pointers. The biggest game that we had against Orlando this year, Sam Merrill had 10 3-pointers from us playing pace up during that Donovan run. So that needs to be the, if the game line starts off at like 220, I'm taking the over, because that's how we have to play for this series.
So it's push the pace, spread the floor, and on defense, we still got to hit them. We still got to hit them hard.
Yeah, they got to fill us. Orlando on offense doesn't scare me because they're like foul merchants, like Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. They're both foul merchants.
They are.
What ultimately scares me is the guys that are like Josh Hart and that kind of thing. That's Wagner, Ingles, and the people I named.
Mm-hmm.
If they're able to get stops, they play better offensively.
Mm-hmm.
So like that worries me, because
of course
those guys, they feed off of the fact that they're able to make an impact on defense. So I feel like if we approach this game like the Pacers and we're just going to outscore them, then we can potentially sweep the Magic. And I'm not trying to jinx us. If we pace it up and we make them run and we try to outscore and outgun them, I believe that we can run away with these games.
Do you think they will do that?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I think what's hardwired into JBB is defense and keeping certain things under check, and he's always going to look at it like, I'm going to sub this person in now because I need to counter that person.
We're going to see it right off the bat. You're going to see it from the very beginning of the game, because he is not a big adjuster. He's just not.
There was a game 5 against the Knicks where in the first quarter or two, I saw like 10 or 15 open three-pointers from the ball moving, and it looked like they were going to adjust and play it differently. We just didn't hit the shots.
No, they were just missing everything.
So we are capable, and I think that the way the roster is built now, we'll take advantage of that. But we got to come out, and it's got to be like hardwired. Like we've got to just pace up and move the ball and keep things moving in order to really make an impact on these.
To me, the really big guys, Okoro, because of his defense.
Point of attack defense.
You want to see him stop. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Niang. I really am. I'm going to see if they're going to attack him and they're just we're going to have to pull him immediately, or if he's going to be able to play defense. Because if he can, then the dude could have some huge games for us. And then Strus, because if he can hit some shots, which he really hasn't much of the year, and if he can get hot, I don't know if he's hurt or what the hell's going on, but if he can get out there and he can get hot, then he's just he'd be such a huge playoff piece, as big as Okoro.
Okay, I like that. I like those are your highlights. I agree with that. I'm going to stick with setting the tone, and I'm going to stick with offensively playing fast. So I need Garland out of his head and playing instinctively. I need Mitchell keeping the ball moving, playing like January Donovan Mitchell. But then defensively, I need tone. I need physicality. I need Tristan and Morris to like be both willing to get tossed at any given time, kind of playoff basketball. I need to see that because I'm not going to get it from Jared Allen. I don't care what he's talking about with lights and stuff. I'm just not going to get that. And I'm starting to really worry if that's the Evan Mobley thing too, because those back-to-back games, first where Paul George hit that shot over him.
Oh yeah.
And then next where Miles Turner banged on him from the free throw line. And I was like, come on, Evan Mobley, don't do this to me.
I have no idea what he's going to do in the playoffs.
I have no idea.
No idea.
Some nights where I see him go out there, it looks like he has 2 left feet and he looks like he doesn't want to play basketball.
Yep.
And that's starting to scare me.
Same.
But there's an awkwardness that's just like we're waiting for it to click. So that can happen in this series, you know? It genuinely can happen. They do have some beef in Willie Cauley-Stein, Goga Batazde, Mo Wagner. But they don't have anybody that's like, man, these dudes can just straight up punk us. So let's go. All right. You watching
my album?
Yeah, I'll say you watching or listening to anything? What you got to close us out here?
I got a good one for you. I'm gonna give you an idea what happened here. So we got a bunch of vinyl. Okay. And my 4-year-old daughter, she loves it. She loves the vinyl. She likes playing with the records. She likes sorting through them, and for whatever reason, she had this stretch where she would just keep like picking the worst shit. I don't even know how she'd come up with it, but I think it was that she'd see like women on the cover, and like if she saw like a woman, for whatever reason, it was like she'd put that on. But that meant it was like she was picking all this old shit that like my mother-in-law had given us. So it was like weird Barbara Streisand stuff. Right. Like, so the best we could do was like Whitney Houston, which was fine, but it was just a really bad stretch. But then she comes and she says to me, Daddy, I want to listen to the one with the sun on it. I was like, the sun?
Uh-oh.
And I was like thinking to myself, I was like, what's the one with the sun? And then she puts it on and I'm like, I'll be damned. That is 40 Ounces to Freedom by Sublime. And I had forgotten that I'd bought it. And I'm sitting here and I'm like,
pretty awesome, actually.
I'm like, man, that's a good get. And she was sitting there with me listening to it and she loved it. And I tell you what, that is absolutely one of my favorite albums of all time.
I agree with that 100%.
Right. I remember picking that one up when I was, I would have been, it took me a while because that one's from 92. So I'd have been 9 years old. I wouldn't have heard that one until I was in probably 8th grade.
Right.
And the first album I'd have heard by them was definitely Sublime. It would have been stuff off of there. But that's a great album, man, because it's got that nice mix of reggae. It's got that punk on it. It's got ska. So it's this wild combination of music, right?
There was a terminology for it. Kind of like when we talked about Shuggie Otis a couple of seasons ago. And I talked about there being a whole movement that came along with his music. Same thing happened with Sublime.
Definitely.
It was like you had those guys up in Seattle and stuff that had that garage band
that's right
kind of thing. But then you had these guys down here and the people that were performing like them that were like, grab your surfboard, like let's make some good music kind of thing.
That's exactly right. You'd have like that weird like comment, like Real Big Fish would have been one, and you'd have like some other guy, Cherry Poppin' Daddies, like all those type of dudes like kind of popped it, but nobody quite played like, you couldn't play like Sublime. They were just their own thing. So anyways, that is just it's a sweet album. My favorite off of there is definitely Bad Fish. I love it. It's just such a great party song. I listened to it. I don't even know how many times when I was in college. Hundreds probably.
Right.
Obviously smoked 2 joints for obvious reasons when you're in college, right? But then, the whole thing's just a great album for the exact reasons that I mentioned. It's such a cool, wild mix of music. Like you said, you love the innovators. You love the people who can just come up with music that just breaks the box,
breaks the mold.
Exactly.
And they have such a unique sound. If you hear a Sublime song come on from any of their albums, you're going to be like, hey, wait, this is Sublime. Certain people that they have an ability to take, like we talked about Allman and we talked about Fleetwood Mac, and there's this mix of blues, country, folk, like all that kind of stuff. And you like that's that band.
Nobody mixed those. You like who'd have thought? Like if you said somebody was going to mix that music all together and make it sound good. How, right? Like you combine all that stuff together. Yeah,
I guess you would call it reggae rock. A couple of years later, so I discovered Sublime while I was at my record store in undergrad, and I had no idea. And I heard that, and this whole album right here was playing all the time. The what was that? They had a song for the 76ers or something like that. Like there was a bunch of stuff that they did that was like, holy crap, like this is really actually like really, really good.
Yeah.
And then right around that time, 2004, 2005, the Jewish dude Matisse Yahu came out with reinfused some reggae rock rap.
Yeah, he was wild too.
It was like rapping, rocking, and he gave shout out to Sublime because they were the first to do that. Yeah. And so it's kind of cool that it was just kind of like, wait a minute, like this dude is rapping in a whole nother language and all that kind of stuff. And he's showing love to Sublime. So they're the forefathers of a type of music that people are still making to this day. And
definitely.
I think it's pretty awesome. So
yeah, he was sweet. And then he died in 96. I think it was heroin or something like that. And then they obviously exploded after he died, which is, often the case with
always happens.
Artists. Yeah. But so that was definitely a fun one I listened to a lot in middle school.
That's pretty cool.
Little less in high school, and then I just started pounding it in college.
Shout out to your little lady for bringing it back into the rotation. Like
I'm so happy. So
isn't that awesome how our kids are like the gift that like genuinely keep giving?
Isn't it?
Like it was like because my oldest daughter, my 15-year-old, she wants me to be happy. So she used to sit with me and watch the games back in the day. But then she's picked up the music bug. And so as she's discovering stuff, like through, like 7, 8, all the way up until recent, she's like, hey, Dad, like, why didn't you tell me how good Damon Albarn from Blur and Gorillaz and all that kind of stuff was? Like, what do you mean? And she giving me like his new records. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I haven't listened to it. Stuff like that.
That's super cool.
And then
that's
she's
a connection, right, man? Like, that's when you're like, oh, dude. Man.
And then I still get cool points when she's like, when you put me on the Radiohead a couple years ago, she's like, did you know Tom York came out with his own album? I'm like, you do know that's out there on vinyl. Like stuff like that is really cool.
Isn't that the coolest?
So it's pretty awesome that as she's starting to learn vinyl and albums, she picks that out, and you can sit with her and listen to it and like share with her, the kid safe stuff that you've got. Some of the research you've done.
That's going to be a tough one because that album is not super kid safe. But right now we're in that stretch where she doesn't know what he's saying.
There's songs right now that we listened to when we were kids that we didn't know what they were talking about.
Oh yeah, no way.
So like Isley Brothers, they was talking about
Between the Sheets.
Babies. Yeah,
it's all about, every song was about making babies.
I'm over here as a little kid. I'm over here doing all this and stuff, and my parents are like laughing at us. We had no idea.
What the hell we were doing.
Some of it, and Marvin Gaye, like they were really, really actually super explicit.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
And
sexual healing.
Well, some of that stuff is obvious, but some of the other songs that we thought they were just saying this, but they were really saying that. So you got a little time until she actually starts asking those questions. So
that's right. Yeah, the song Date Rape that she was screaming about the other night. She doesn't know. We skipped that one. We moved the needle a little bit.
You just got to watch over your shoulder because your wife is going to slap you upside the head when she.
No, she loves it too, man. She was pumped. She's like, I saw her sitting there in the kitchen. She's like, son, what's the one with the sun on it?
And then when your daughter turns her back, your wife's like, yeah, let's go.
Oh, she loved it. Yeah, she loves it. She loves Sublime. She's got great taste in music, though.
All right, so fellas, we have officially and sufficiently potted it up. Jig, we've got a game coming Saturday. I'm excited. I'm like a kid. I
am too. I mean, I'm very nervous. Now,
I'm nervous.
I get very nervous, man.
We kick the playoffs off. So Saturday morning, 1:00, whatever time it is, afternoon, free your schedule because it's going to be rocking up there. Like they're going to have.
I can't watch the game real time.
Like whatever color they have in the arena, they're going to be doing that. That's the one thing that I can always say I'm super proud of when it comes to Cleveland fans. We know how to kick some shit off.
We do.
So the PA announcer, like all of that stuff, the fire from the thing, like whatever we got going on, we're gonna represent.
I miss Let It Rock. I miss that Kevin Rudolph Let It Rock song. That was my favorite all time.
Yeah. That was LeBron, Mo, the Goosey teams.
Yes. I still, to this day, that's my favorite. I still listen to it when I'm working out.
Now I do get goosebumps whenever that one, whatever opera song it is, that all that stuff.
I know the one
for not.
It's called
Fortuna.
Damn it.
Whatever the song is, I get goosebumps whenever I hear that. Outside of that, because I've been at enough playoff games for the Cavs where I was like, we literally got 20,000 people standing up clapping to this song.
Yeah,
and then you get your eyebrows burned off by the fire. And so let's go, man. Playoff basketball is here, and there's nothing better. So, all right. Well, are you looking up that song so you can tell us? Because somebody's going to go listen to it.
I need to know.
Yep.
I need to know what it is, but it's something, like the letter O.
It's actually on YouTube. The Cavs intro for the playoffs. It's on YouTube, and they list
it up. Intro. It's the shit.
Clap.
Yeah.
Now, here's one more thing that I have to say. Yesterday, after the Sixers won, I really liked that 76er song they got. You know what I'm talking about? Here we are. It's the Sixers. Brew knows what I'm talking about because he's been to a bunch
He
of
always
Sixers
knows that shit.
It's like a 70s jingle that they wrote for Dr. J and their team. And I'm like, man, we have our song. We got the one that we had from the 70s that we kicked off our podcast with. You remember that? And I'm gonna play it on here. But we don't have one that feels like that, and it just has that vintage kind of thing to it. Where you like, we gotta every game we gotta win. We gotta play this song. Sacramento, they like the beam every time they win a game.
They do like the beam. Yep.
So we need something like that to integrate into our Cavs history, kind of thing.
I hate to say it, but I think the best is probably in San Francisco Lights by Journey.
Oh, what do they do? Like a seventh inning stretch? They do it or after the game?
I want to say it's seventh inning stretch.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's seventh inning stretch when they play awesome. Lights.
The cheesiest is the Cubs. They act like they invented that song.
Yeah. Or in when the Red Sox do, and I fucking hate the song. I really do.
Yeah, I thought the Cubs.
Sweet Caroline. The Red Sox do Sweet Caroline, and I can't stand the song. Yeah. I'm so tired of it.
So you hate that commercial where they're in a bar and everybody in the bar is singing it.
Everything. I know a lot of people get all excited about it. I cannot stand that song.
So there's something that we've got to mix into our culture, and why not start it this year? But all right, Saturday is here, guys. Let's go. So we potentially are going to try to do a post game this weekend, and I didn't want to put this on your plate, so we'll see how we scheduling wise and everything like that.
Yeah, we got to figure out a post game.
We'll open it up so that guys can just jump in here.
Hopefully, it's not like Game 4, like the last game, and the Cavs are done. Our closeout game.
All right, brother. Let's get started for this playoffs. Rubber Rim Job, Season 3, Episode 14. What did I call it? Time for playoff vengeance on Mickey.
Got to get him.
Signing off, brothers.
Signing off. Good one.
Yeah, that was pretty